We're going to have 3 sessions now before Lucy takes back over, and I'm delighted to introduce you to the award-winning author of Relax, It's Only Social Media, Luan Wise.
Okay, good afternoon and welcome to this session on how to keep up with social media news and trends. I can't see my slides. There they are. Okay, let's get started. My name is Luan Wise. I will do a short intro in a second, but I just wanted to share this session because I know how overwhelming social media can be. When you work it, when you live, sleep, eat and breathe it, it still feels like it's a challenge, an ongoing challenge to keep up with it. So I wanted to run this session really with some tips and tricks, how I do it. There are lots of links in this session for you. So if you want to grab your phones, if you're going to take some screenshots or photos, I'm really happy that you do that. Or of course, watch the recording back again afterwards. So if we haven't met before, and I think there are lots of familiar names and faces I've seen on the apps and in the social media streams this morning. I am a marketer. I have 20 years experience in agency, client-side, consultancy roles. I've been running my own business. Actually, it's my business birthday today. 9 years I've been doing this by myself. And I have a really nice mixture of a day-to-day role that involves working directly with clients, that involves teaching and training, and also lots of content creation as well. It was great to watch my own intro because I wasn't quite sure what was going to be included on there. But yes, I am a chartered marketer. I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Marketing. I'm an author, but I'm also really proud that I work directly with some of the social media platforms as well. I am one of LinkedIn Learning's course instructors. So if you have a premium account, you could find some of my courses on there. I know we've got a session coming up on it later. I am one of Facebook's Blueprint trainers, and I'm also a coach for Google's Digital Garage initiative. And as I said, my day-to-day is kind of a real mixture of working with clients, mainly B2B, mainly services, but also household cleaning products and some influencers as well. I audit, I plan, I mentor, or as they probably say, I gently nag them to get things done. I do manage accounts across LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And this is kind of how I feel most days. And I'm sure some of you do as well, that you're trying to get on with things, you're trying to be creative, you're trying to write, but there's this constant kind of check me, notifications going on in the background because you just don't want to miss out on anything. And I think this is what makes it slightly overwhelming, but also this is about how we manage it and manage our workload as well. And there is this constant drip feed, but I've kind of worked on a process. I batch my time and I try and ignore that nagging check me notification that's going on. I found personally, and this is how the process I wanted to share with you, that if I'm scrolling through my social media feeds and I see updates all the time, I didn't really have time to check on them. And then I felt kind of overwhelmed by, oh, I think Twitter have done this and I think Facebook have done that. So how I overcame this was to turn it into a piece of content that I produce every week, and I batch my time. Yes, I do see that there's updates going on throughout the week, but do you know what? If I don't address it within a few seconds or hours or even a couple of days, that's okay. I'm going to batch my time, run through all the updates that I think have gone on that week, and then actually I produce a piece of content around this. It is a weekly email newsletter. I updated it this morning, a blog as well with what's been going on in August. And I counted how many updates I've shared this year. 244 updates from January to August. Just a few in the last couple of weeks. Actually, I've got a breaking one. In the last 2 hours, Boris Johnson has joined LinkedIn. He's done a video of how his page is there to help businesses. And already I'm slightly addicted to kind of reading through the comments that people are putting in response to his video. But this month there's also, August, because 1st of September, there's been Facebook Shops, there's been Instagram Reels. There are changes every day, throughout the day, from all of the platforms. But the key point of collating this and having a process is actually they're not all relevant. I don't need to know about them all. I don't need to implement them all. They don't all affect what I'm doing with the accounts that I'm running, but it is good to kind of know about them in the background. So the process and the sources that I use for my weekly email newsletter, which you can subscribe to, there is a link there. I'm sharing not everything with you because it's only a 30-minute session and I wanted to include time for Q&A. But I've included lots of resources that if you want to either sign up to an email newsletter, I'm not the only one that does roundup posts like this, or just check out things as they go along. I wanted to share the sources with you. But talking about roundups, just before I talk about the individual ones, I recently, actually last couple of weeks, released a paper just summarising out of those 244 updates this year, which ones have been particularly relevant to the current situation that we're in. What have the social media platforms done to help small businesses, to help users stay connected and build their businesses and stay in business during the COVID-19 crisis? And again, that's a document that I've pulled together from these resources, and you can download that from my website. So I think one of the biggest challenges that makes social media updates so overwhelming is that they come from so many different sources, and people share updates because we actually know that the apps don't all update at the same time. Someone gets one feature, someone hasn't got that yet. And I like to go to the credible sources, to the original source of the information. And if I see things and I can't find the original source of this update, I park that. I want to be sharing things that I know are true and are going to be rolled out or are being tested and have been reported by the platforms themselves. So each platform, the four that I tend to work with, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook, do have their own press office. They do have their own newsrooms. These are the links that I check once a week just to see what they're reporting. And I find that this is the best source. They don't report every feature, which is why I've got a few more resources for you. But the first place I'll always go is straight to the platform blogs and see what they're talking about and what they're reporting. I then use some key industry resources. And of course, when you're working in social media, this isn't just about finding resources on social media. You're probably doing similar things like this for the industry that you work in or your clients work in as well. But there's 4 key blogs that I think are super credible. They have talented journalists that are reporting things, that they also give you their interpretation. They'll link back to previous articles, and they will also be contacting the platforms for comment as well. So for me, these are also credible resources. They are Social Media Today, TechCrunch, and the Verge, they have a lot of techie news, so they'll be reporting from other sources as well, not just the 4 platforms, but I like them for tech updates. And then Social Media Examiner, not always about the latest features, but about how-to articles. And I will share, I am a writer for Social Media Examiner. They have a great house style on making sure that you include screenshots and examples. So if you do see new features like Instagram Reels or analytics or something else, pretty soon an article will appear on Social Media Examiner that one of their authors, their guest writers, has put together full of screenshots. So they have already worked through how to use these new features. So they're the 4 that I go to after the platforms. I also find that when I'm working with clients or I'm producing my own content, I always want latest stats. I'm always asked about latest stats. You can Google, of course, but then you come up with lots of answers. And again, it's quite hard to find the original source of the data. So I have one go-to report. And that is by Hootsuite and We Are Social. They produce an annual report every year in January. You can find it, there's the link here, they will take you back. And it's a huge report. It's a kind of 250, 300 slide deck full of digital internet trends, Facebook, lots of the platforms, what's going on, country by country as well. So if you are working internationally and you have a client who wants to know what the most popular platform is in Sweden or Australia, you can turn to this resource as well. So it's an annual report, which is really great, but it's also updated quarterly. So the most recent one is for the end of July, the second quarter, and they compare the stats and use the stats. So if you're going to use any go-to resource for audience size, platform use, trends, and they also did a specific report around how things changed during the early days of the crisis. Hootsuite We Are Social is my go-to resource for that. So this is great. I can go out, I can bookmark these. I know my go-to resources. Actually, on my website, I have links to all of these as well to make it easy for you if you're visiting that. But the other things I do is set up alerts and feeds so that it's all coming into me. The information is ready for when I have a coffee break or I'm planning content for a week. I can go to these sources. And the first one is very simply setting up a Google alert. I will set up Google alerts around keywords. So if I do them around the social media platforms, I tend to get too many alerts. But if I'm looking for something specific, or perhaps, around Instagram Reels or the latest topic, I will set up a quick alert so that if anything appears on the web around those topics, it comes into my inbox. So I don't miss things. I have things set up so it's coming to me, ready for when I need them. But actually, I don't want to fill up my email inbox. I use a reader, an RSS reader. I'd love to know if other people are using these tools as well. I use a reader called Feedly, which integrates with Google Alerts. There is a free version, there is a paid for version. It also integrates with some scheduling platforms as well. I personally use Hootsuite, so it means that if I see some news or information in my Feedly stream, I can just click and I can tweet it, post it on any platform as well. It means that I don't need to subscribe to email newsletters, websites. I can again just set up Feedly. It's almost like another email inbox. It all comes into me. It can be categorized with labels by topic and by source. And I find that that's the best way to keep up with information as well. Again, because I'm a creator of resources and training content, there is a free step-by-step guide on how to set up Google Alerts and how to set up Feedly on my website, luanwise.co.uk. We're going to have plenty of time for questions, so I would love to know if you are using these tools or how you keep up to date, or what worries you about your process of staying up to date with social media news and trends. But one source that I also do, and I could do this all day. I know we've had a topic on social media listening already this morning. It's something I talked about at one of the recent Digital Women's Skills Days, and that is listening. And that is really using the social media platforms to find out what questions people are asking or what they're reporting. I haven't listed them all, but I do use groups and events a lot. I use Facebook groups and I use LinkedIn groups. Just a couple of the Facebook groups, well, obviously Digital Women, Social Media Geek Out is a great group as well. There are lots of groups for social media managers that I go in, that I hang around in, just to see what questions people are asking. And quite a lot of the time, those questions are around, have you seen this new feature? Or this is no longer working for me. So if I ever have a question that I can't get something to work or something's changed, I'll go straight to the couple of my kind of go-to Facebook groups and see if anyone else has reported that already. But I don't do this all day, every day. I do batch my time and go into those groups as and when I think I need to, rather than trying to keep scrolling all day long. I find Facebook groups are great for that, but there's also a couple of LinkedIn groups that I will use as well, just to see what's going on, again, what people are asking, the social media manager groups, and groups where my target audience hang out as well and will ask questions about social media. Events just like this one. There are lots of social media events or lots of social media topics on the agenda at big conferences. I've been involved with Social Media Week before. It's another global event. Social Media Marketing World, I've watched from afar as well. But I find them really useful when the agendas come out and when the events are on, because I can follow them on Twitter and the hashtags and see what's happening. But I like to look at what the speakers are talking about, because for me, that's probably the latest trends. So I will go through the agenda, look at the schedule, see what the speaker topics are, because the people that are speaking about things are, top of their game, straight from the platforms as well. And if they're talking about case studies and examples and how to use new features, then that's a really good way of making sure that my skills are up to date and I know what's going on as well. I promised in this session to give you lots of insights about how to keep on top of latest news and trends. There are others. Yes, I do use Twitter lists. I do look at trending topics. I do follow certain people. I do listen to podcasts. I wanted my almost end slide to be this cartoon. We know there's change. There is loads of change. We're surrounded by change. The platforms are doing things all the time. Some they report, some they don't, some we just find out. Some are important, some not so important, and it can wait. We can wait and see what other people are doing before we feel the need to jump on them. I think it's really important that we stay focused, particularly in a time of change and having to pivot and adapt our marketing plans for changing behaviours, changing ways of working, that we absolutely focus on what we need to do. We focus on the priorities of our business and we try not to get distracted by the latest shiny thing. If we don't do Instagram Reels, if we don't have a shop, we don't need a Facebook shop. Absolutely focus on your business, which means you need to have a plan to start with and follow that plan. And then do keep up to date with trends, topics, see what's going on when you log into the platforms. Do subscribe to email newsletter roundups or follow Facebook groups, but make sure you kind of mentally go through things and go, does this matter to my business? Do I need to look at this? Is it relevant? Or again, is it something you can kind of park for the future, for a learning afternoon? If it is not relevant, please stay focused and don't get so distracted by the shiny new features. Measure what matters to your business with your own data, and then just see what's new, what's updated, what's going on. I know we want to do new things, but I find if we are managing clients as well, I make sure that we have a monthly catch-up call. They know that I'm on top of the amends every week, and that if there was something that was really urgent, I'd let them know about it. But most of the time, just a monthly or even quarterly, this is how the platforms are changing. This is relevant to us. This isn't relevant, but it was quite fun, so I thought I'd let you know. Don't think that you need to jump on things all the time. This really is about managing your time. Social media can be overwhelming if we let it. This is about staying in control, managing your time, focusing on your priorities. My biggest takeaway message for you is please do use credible resources when you're trying to identify what's changing on the social media platforms. There will be lots of people in lots of groups reporting changes and features, but I would always ask why and where does the information come from? And if you can't track it back, I would probably just wait until you see it for yourself or can try it and do it. Set bookmarks, set up alerts, see what you need to know about and go and find it when you need it, or you have it there waiting for you, rather than that tapping on your shoulder every day, check me, check me. and just keep learning. That is actually the wonderful thing about social media, is that it keeps us on our toes. It keeps us learning, watching what other people are doing. It's what makes it interesting, but makes it a challenge at the same time. That is the end of my slide deck. So, Stuart, are you there, and do we have any questions?
Talk, really, really interesting. Lots of insights there.
Thank you.
I kind of guess the first question that comes to mind is one from Emily Williams. What advice would you give, or what would you think the best practice would be to keep up with industry trends for a small agency who've got clients in loads of different sectors?
Yeah, so there is this challenge of keeping up with social media, the platforms and what the platforms are doing, but then also trying to, if you're creating content and trying to stay in the moment as well, I would just use the same tools. Try and find some industry blogs that maybe report on what's going on, in the construction industry. I know it's the CIOB or RICS. Professional bodies are usually the place to go to stay up to date with what's happening in the industry. But also, again, just use Google Alerts and a reader like Feedly to pull all that information into one place. I have folders kind of set up by clients. So if I've worked in the charity sector, there's a folder ready of charities information to come in there, print information to come in there, household cleaning products information to come in there. I think it's very much about doing a bit of planning and set up at the beginning so that you have all the information coming to you, rather than having to sit there kind of going, oh, I need to find out the latest news, where can I find it? Set up some feeds and alerts.
So Sophie Clark has mentioned that she tried Feedly, but she ended up with stuff on Feedly in her inbox. So she says she probably has to go all in sort of on Feedly, otherwise it takes twice as long. So you've got any advice about how to sort of manage that?
I've been using Feedly since Google closed their reader and I imported things into it. And I use a free account and haven't had any issues with it. I think it's about making sure that you set up the information that you want to receive and manage it in folders as well. But I'm guessing if it's a technical issue with it, Feedly help team are the place to go.
And Claire Ferner has asked, do you find people are still engaging with LinkedIn groups? The ones I'm in are pretty dead.
Yeah. I think there's always a challenge that we attribute things to the platform rather than its users. And the thing about LinkedIn groups in particular is I think they're great, but very often they've been set up by someone that didn't necessarily have a plan on how they were going to run the group or what the purpose of the group was. And they probably then didn't kind of manage it in a way to stop spam being in there or to make it engaging for its users. So I agree that, it takes time to find the right groups, but when you do find the right groups or you set your own group up and it's of value, they can be brilliant, but it does take a bit of work. So probably I'm in a group for LinkedIn Learning instructors, which is brilliant. It's a closed group, but we can all collaborate in there on what we're working on. The team at LinkedIn give us messages through there. So it's become a valuable resource because we as members understand what it's for, and the owners have told us what it's for, and everyone kind of works it. Another good group that's doing it quite well at the moment, I think, is and I'm not involved with it, is the Chartered Institute of Marketing group for the Southwest. That their comms ambassador has a program of discussions, and she will reach out and send messages to CIM members in the Southwest saying, I've just posted the latest discussion on LinkedIn. We'd love to get you involved. Here's the link. So they kind of work it and manage it. And I think that's what LinkedIn groups need right now.
So we're getting so many great comments here about what a fantastic session and a lot of birthday wishes for your business. But Abby Fox wants to know, what advice would you give for using Twitter lists effectively?
I love Twitter lists. For me, it's like the power that most people don't know about. Twitter lists can be private or they can be public. The beauty is that you don't need to be following an account for them to be on a list. So therefore it can keep your follower numbers low if you want it to, or it means that you can follow your competitors by the fact that you've put them on a list and they don't actually know that you're following them. So there's great uses for kind of following people without following them knowing, which is great, but also just for, again, almost compartmentalizing your work. So I will always have lists for clients, for competitors, for journalists, for local news, etc. And it means that when I'm looking for content or I know what I need to go and find quickly, I just go to the list, which I can set up in Hootsuite as a stream. I don't need to scroll through every tweet from everyone that I'm following. So for me, it's about kind of keeping my content nicely organized as well. And I use a few apps around that. I do actually have a blog on my website about how to use Twitter lists. And, you know, I didn't do it for today, but it would have been great to set up a Twitter list of everyone mentioning the hashtag SocialDay20. We'll put it into a list and we'd have this great resource of everyone that's involved in today's event.
So I've got a question from me, actually, Luan, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
I know when you actually start trying to keep abreast of all of the latest trends in digital and social media, you know, we've given it a go on Social Day, and we made a massive rod for our back with doing daily news, which, you know, ended up doing on holiday, and committing to get it out before 8 o'clock every morning was just a nightmare, and it was just unsustainable. But once you're in that kind of role, you feel like you're committed. So how do you actually, you know, take a step back and actually not worry about covering everything?
Yeah, it is a commitment, but in a way, it actually helps me because I kind of go, I know once a week I'm going to produce my newsletter, so I don't worry about going to try and find things the rest of the time. I didn't do a newsletter yesterday because it was a bank holiday Monday, and it's probably the first one that I haven't done since Christmas. It's a commitment, but I've made that commitment. Mine goes out at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, so I give myself a little bit of leeway whether I want to do it on a Sunday afternoon or early on a Monday. So it's not quite a stress at 8 a.m. But I think I've now kind of got a formula. It doesn't take me so long to kind of copy and paste my format. I know how I'm going to work it and put the links in. So yeah, I'm kind of quite laser focused on, I know what I'm looking for, the resources I'm going to go to, and it probably takes me about 20 minutes a week.
So you also wrote a kick-ass book, didn't you, in 2017?
I did,
and I wanted to know, where's the follow-up?
Yes, I started the follow-up this year, but decided that actually I wanted to wait a few months and just see, I hate the phrase new normal, because it was going to be an updated version, but given how much social media has changed over the last few months and how people have used it, I actually decided I was going to put it on hold for a little bit, see how we come out over the next few months, so that the second version will be up to date and relevant for the world, rather than perhaps, you know, the old world. So I'm not going to commit to a date, but it is in my progress and my mind, and I've mapped it out. So yeah, it will come. But in the meantime, it's going to be lots of blogs.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for taking the time to come and speak to everybody today. You've had loads of great feedback, so get in the app and you know, respond to some of the people that have reached out to you personally. You know, and we're looking forward to that book. And where can people get in touch with you if they want to subscribe to the newsletter and reach out to you?
Yeah, so the links were in this slide deck. You can find me, having an unusual name really helps on social media. So all my handles are just at Luan Wise. But yeah, I will be on the app for the next few hours and keeping an eye on the event over the next couple of days.
Brilliant. Luan, thank you so much for sharing the stage with us. Big round of applause. Luan Wise, everybody.
Thank you.